The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
I paid the taxes that I owe. And by the way, why don't you get Donald Trump up here and ask him how much he pays in taxes?
We will.
Yeah, well, look. Well, I am eagerly awaiting your doing that.
Well, we'd love to have you.
We would love to have
Well,
you that question.
get him up
We
there.
absolutely
And
will.
the president, I guess the president watches your network a little bit, right? Hey, President Trump, my wife and I just released 10 years. Please do the same. Let the American people know how much money you make.
All right.
All right. Bernie went into the cone of crazy. Did you see that? I doubt you saw that. You know what I did in the homework? If you go to randyrhodes.com, you're not signed up for the homework, just click on at the top, sign up. It's free, and we'll send it to you every morning for nothing. It's just a compilation of the stuff that we are relying on in order to put together our show. It's like a fact check for the Randi Rhodes Show is what it is. But we included today the Fox News, the Cone of Crazy Town Hall. That was amazing. I mean, I have to tell you, the idea that the truth sort of seeped into Grandma and Grandpa's brain last night by accident because, they tried to set Bernie up as a punching bag, apparently, on the Fox News last night. And then the bag swung back and hit Martha McCallum and Brett Baer right smack dab in the face. Boosh. I think they were stunned to see the entire audience applauding Medicare for all. I think they were stunned to see Bernie make cogent arguments about how this stupid tax cut of Donald Trump's did absolutely nothing for the middle class. And before we start playing you some of the clips from this amazing thing last night, and it really was because he took heat from both sides. He took heat from Fox News. Viewers didn't want him on there, and the progressives didn't want him on there. And he was like, you know what? This is the most watched fake news channel that there is in America, and I'm going on it. I'm going on it, and I'm going to speak the truth, and let's see what the audience says. And they freaking loved him. They just reacted. I mean, rapturous applause on Fox News for Bernie Sanders. Something that I've never seen before, and because it's Fox, you will probably never see again. We won't be making that mistake anymore. I mean, it was just so unbelievable. It's like the Fox News audience looked like, I don't know, they look like factory farm animals who had never been on real grass before, and then all of a sudden they realized, wow, this smells good this day. And they were just frolicking. They were just happy. I mean, it was quite amazing. So the link to both part 1 and part 2 of Bernie's Town Hall on Fox News is there. But as we, this is, I have to say, this clip that I opened up with for a reason. The reason I chose that is because that is all you will see on the other news channels about Bernie. I mean, they are going, I have to say, corporate media does not dig a Bernie. They don't like him. They don't dig him. He's, obviously somebody who would make corporations pay their fair share. He is obviously somebody who would increase their burden. He is obviously somebody who, would probably be for, let's say, undoing the Telecommunications Deregulation Act of 1996 and putting in place some antitrust legislation that says that 5 families or 5 companies cannot own all the media that Americans consume, pretty much. I mean, it's a ridiculous notion. So I don't think they like her. Elizabeth Warren, I don't think they like her, and I don't think they like Bernie. I think they're very anti-Bernie because that was the only clip that they showed from last night, and last night was pretty freaking amazing. Bernie actually talked about, they tried to say, I don't know if you saw this attack on Bernie too, but this is the CAP Action Fund. This is Podesta. This is the John Podesta funded, corporate funded think tank. Let's call it that, okay? And there's a lot of corporate money in CAP. Okay, and they do produce some very good reports. It's not that I won't look at it. It's not that I wouldn't rely on some of their breakdowns of money and spending and, taxes and deficit spending and defense spending. It's not that I wouldn't look at that. It's just that they are also corporate. And, that's the beauty of us, is we are not funded by anybody but you, okay? And so thank you for funding us. But honestly, this is what replaces independent media when you let it. So they started attacking Bernie a couple days ago because Bernie had one good year. Now, I can totally relate to this scenario because I had one good year. I had one good year where I made $1 million. I made $1,069,000. And that was 15 years ago. 1 year I had. Never seen a year like that again. Well, Bernie had 1 year where the joint tax filings between him and his wife were $1 million. This year, he did okay. The book that he wrote is still selling. And on his tax return, he made $560 some odd thousand, which is also very good. That is a very, very good year. But now they're saying he's a millionaire. So his message of taxing millionaires somehow is tainted. How is that possible? When I was making $1 million a year, I sat there and told you that I didn't need a tax cut because you don't. And I've said this to you a million times, when you're making $42,000 a week, you don't need a stinking tax cut. And that's kind of what Bernie was saying last night. He was saying he voted against the tax cut even after his very good year of making $1 million from book sales. He still voted against the tax cut for people like him. And for some strange reason, corporate media doesn't want to, they don't want to push out that message that Bernie, even though it would have benefited him personally, still believes and voted against giving all the tax breaks to the top 1%, which, if you make $1 million, you are in. I don't know why. Can anybody figure out why they might not like a Bernie Sanders, the corporations, why the corporate donors don't like the Bernie? Yeah. So Cap actually put out this video. I cut it a little bit, okay? There's a whole preamble to it saying, Bernie wants to cut taxes for millionaires and billionaires, but now that he's a millionaire, he's leaving out the word millionaire. He only wants to cut taxes on billionaires. Do you see the difference? Do you see it?
A proliferation of millionaires and billionaires.
When millionaires and billionaires of millionaires and billionaires. Millionaires and billionaires, millionaires and billionaires, millionaires and billionaires.
Now they're going to start their stupid little chart.
Millionaires and billionaires, millionaires and billionaires.
Oh, Bernie just passed $1 million.
This is a budget of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class. More billionaires in his administration. Billionaires. Billionaires and the wealthiest people. Billionaires and the wealthy.
A handful of billionaires and other billionaires.
Billionaires.
Allow billionaires, multi-millionaires and billionaires.
Of multi-millionaires and billionaires.
If you are a billionaire or in the top 1%,
we will be an administration for the working families of this country and not for billionaire campaign contributors.
And then they flash, see the change? No, the top 1% is still the top 1%. Okay, so they're attacking Bernie. That is, there's no crap about that, right? And these are the corporate donors to the Democratic Party, and that is disgusting. We do not need anybody who is trying to end Trumpism in this country to be attacking anybody else who is trying to end Trumpism in this country. Because Trumpism in this country is poison. It's toxic. It's dangerous. You got people who say Trump is the truth teller. Trump will tell you, there's a clip of a man I got to show you too, who says he likes Trump because Trump is so honest. Oh yeah. That if you say, do these pants make me look fat? He'll say yes. Are you kidding me? He would lie to your ass and your face.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
you love Trump's sort of unabashed style.
He has no filter between his brain and his mouth, and if you don't like the answer you're going to get, don't answer the question. He's off the cuff. He'll tell you exactly how it is. I mean, if you go to him and say, "Hey, does these pants make my butt look big?" He's going to tell you. And you may not like the answer, and that's why I like him.
That is very sick, okay? This is a sick and twisted society where people think that Donald Trump is the truth teller. Donald Trump, if you ask Donald Trump if these pants make... You think Kim Jong-un, you think he told Kim Jong-un how ridiculous he looks? Do you think that he sat there and told Kim Jong-un those pants make you look ridiculous and that hairdo of yours is just really... It's what? And do you think Kim Jong-un told Donald Trump that rat's nest on top of your head has got to go? I don't think this is the... Listen, Trump told us about these tax cuts, that you would be able to do your taxes on a postcard. Anybody able to use a postcard yesterday? I was not. I was not able. Anybody able to use a postcard? He said that every family was going to save $4,000. $4,000. Anybody say $4,000? I'll tell you, 80% of the middle class taxpayers saved about $80 a month, a little less than $80 a month, got no refund whatsoever, and 20% of the middle class, paid more in taxes than they've ever paid before or stayed exactly the same. This was total BS on something that affects every family's pocketbook. The cost of doing that, the cost of me having to pay more tax this year than I've ever paid before, the cost of 20% of us either paying more or exactly the same was $1.2 trillion. Was that worth it for you? Was that worth it? Just want to know. He also said it would pay for itself. I'm watching it. It's not even touching itself. How is it going to get itself paid for? Do you know it's not even doing anything for itself? Nothing. He said that it would create all this job creation, all these companies that would have more money because of the tax cuts, like Amazon, $11 billion or some such crazy number, no taxes owed, and in fact, subsidies given back to them. Given back to them in the millions. He said that they would start spending money and start paying people more. And there would be this capital expense boom. People would buy stuff. They would buy equipment for their businesses. They would do... No. Instead, companies use that money for stock buybacks, which truth tellers like me told you would happen, and it did. He also said that if you let him do this tax cut and put the burden on us, to pay it off, we had to subsidize the rich freaking people, hoping that they would bring their money back into the United States. Remember, it's $5 trillion of corporate money overseas. They stash it overseas, $5 trillion. It'll all come back. You'll see it all come back. Of $5 trillion, $665 billion got repatriated. You understand that $4.5 trillion of the 5 is still overseas? They're never bringing it back. He said GDP would hit 4%. 4%. It's at 2% now, and the forecasts for next year are even lower. He said Americans would love this tax cut. Guess what? Verdict's in. Americans hate this tax cut. 800,000 people got either less than they got last year in their refund or got no refund and owed money. 800,000. You know what the real number is on that? Because he said, you see, you want to put money in consumers' hands. This is a consumer-driven economy, which was true enough. We need to get more, and it's going to be so great, and you'll see, and it's going to be unbelievable, and all this money is going to come rolling back in, and da-da-da-da-da. $336 billion is missing from the economy now because people didn't get a refund. This is what he sat down and told Mike Huckabee, Sarah's daddy, where apparently God instructs them to lie for a living. I don't know.
But in tax reform, this would be a rocket fuel for the economy. And you've already seen almost a tripling of the GDP just since the beginning of the year. That's huge. How does
that did not happen.
Reducing taxes and reforming taxes transfer into an economic boom.
We are going to have more money to spend. It's like handing people money. We're going to have more money to spend on buying product and on doing things. But most importantly, it's tax cuts. We're going to be cutting taxes of people. And I'm really focused on the middle class, and I'm really focused on companies, because companies create jobs. So we're going to have the largest tax cut ever. And this is all now getting our economy going. So we are doing really well. The tax cut will be, it will be fantastic, and all of that money will be coming back in and will flow back into the economy. And I'll tell you what, we'll hit numbers that we have never hit before.
Okay, so he was taking credit for an economy before he had done anything to it or for it. And then he was saying the tax cuts would spark this unbelievable boom, while $336 billion less dollars are floating around our economy and consumers' hands because people did not get refunds. The damn thing costs $1.2 trillion. It ain't going to pay for itself. You didn't use a postcard to file your taxes this year, and you won't next year or any other year. 80% of the middle class, the big whopping tax cut that you got was less than $80 a month. 20% of us either paid the same or paid more, like me. And there was a stock buyback. That was the boom. The boom was in buying back your own stock after we lowered the corporate tax rate, and didn't do a damn thing for job creation. Nothing. So these tax cut promises are absolutely bullcrap. But a guy in a diner somewhere thinks that if you ask Donald Trump if these pants make my ass look big, he will tell you the truth, and somehow that makes him presidential. I just don't think he would tell you the truth. It depends what he wants to get out of you. Why? Do you think he told Steve Bannon that he looked terrible? Do you think he understands how ridiculous his own hair is, or that orange is not a good look for a 70-something-year-old man? Do you think he understands any of that? I mean, it's just so unbelievable. Now, just so you know, before Donald Trump came, wages were increasing 2.3%. In 2017, wages increased 2.6%. Your wages haven't increased more than that since all this happened, maybe like, 3%. Okay, 0.3% of a point. So if you're making $60,000 a year, maybe in all these years, you've gotten $240 more. But it cost us $1.2 trillion. Yeah, that was totally worth it. You know what? This is unbelievable to me. Where is my postcard? Where is the paying for itself? Where is the flooding from the abroad money? Where is the money that's flooding in? Where's the CapEx boom, the capital expenditure boom? No. The only thing that boomed was stock buybacks and the freaking deficit. This is sick. And people are actually sitting here going, he's a real truth teller. That's why I like him. No. You know what the deal is? You can't tell the difference between cruelty, which is what Trump is. He's cruel. He's nasty. And you can't tell the difference between cruelty and bullying from somebody who tells you the truth. Bernie gave a fuller explanation about his tax situation, and yet none of corporate media wants to run it. Why do you think that is?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Here you go, everybody.
Now that your tax returns have been released and you have been identified as a millionaire and in the top 1%, will you pay your fair share? And how do you plan to apply the policies that you have been talking about enforcing on top earners? Thank you, Senator Sanders.
Well, I happen to believe, Joe, that we have an absurd tax system. And while millions of people today are paying actually more in taxes than they anticipated, Amazon, Netflix, and dozens of major corporations, as a result of Trump's tax bill, paid nothing in federal taxes. I think that's a disgrace. So today we announced now, you raised the issue, I am a millionaire. Well, actually, this year we had $560,000 in income. And that's a lot of money.
Yep.
And that money, in my case, my wife's case, it came from a book that I wrote. Pretty good book. You might want to read it. Mm-hmm. It was a bestseller, sold all over the world, and we made money. So if anyone thinks that I should apologize for writing a best-selling book, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. But let me reiterate, I voted against. I guess on Fox News you said that I benefited from Trump's tax bill. Did you tell people that I voted against Trump's tax bill?
Sure, but you did benefit from it.
But I voted against it.
Right.
And I happen to believe that a tax bill written and pushed by Trump, who told the American people that that tax bill, some of you may recall, would not benefit the wealthy. You remember that?
Yes.
Oh, it's not going to benefit the wealthy. 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. So I think that's a bad idea. And in my view, people, whether it's me, you, probably make a lot more money than I do. But whether it's me or you or anybody else, I think wealthy people and large corporations that are making billions in profits should start paying their fair share of taxes.
But Senator,
I don't know why you didn't see that whole answer, when he said that he voted against it. They cut that out on the corporate medias. Why do they do that? Why? So he had this really good year where he made $1 million, and then this year he made half of that, which is still a good year. And he, even though it would have benefited him, voted against a tax plan that benefited him because he believes in a better society, and the better society can be achieved with an increased amount of revenue coming from the most well-situated to pay into the Treasury, and then spent on domestic needs like public schools and firehouses and health clinics. But they don't play that part, right? They don't play the part where he says, and that after that very good year, I still voted against that tax cut, even though it would have benefited me. And then they keep asking him, but you made money. You wrote a book. And doesn't that make your voice useless now?
Back on the taxes briefly, when you wrote the book and you made the money, isn't that the definition of capitalism, the American dream?
No.
I
mean, what we want is a country where everybody has opportunity. I have a college degree. I'm a United States Senator. But a lot of people don't have a college degree. A lot of people are not United States Senators. I want everybody in this country to be able to have health care, to have education, to when they turn on the water, have drinkable water, not toxic water.
Hello.
So what we are fighting for, Brett, is a society not where just a few people can make a whole lot of money, but a society where everybody in this country has the opportunity to live in security and dignity.
Oh, what a concept. What a concept. A society where everybody gets to live with opportunity, dignity, and a belief that the American dream is still available, not just to them, but to their children, too. Isn't that something? Nobody wants to play that. I find this very, very fascinating. I really do. And then the audience just loved. This was like a big whoops moment. I mean, I was talking to you the other day about this article that was written by Luke O'Neill. This article was reprinted in a lot of different papers. It showed up in The Guardian. It was, I forget where it was originally, posted. Wait, if I go to the end, it should tell me. I think this was lifted from the Atlantic. I'm not sure, but this was a guy who actually asked people to send him letters about the effect that Fox News is having on their families, right? And all these stories were compiled into a article that said, people are suffering from fox brain, and it's alienating, especially older people, from their children. One of the stories in here is growing up, my dad was the one person I knew who taught me to be a critical thinker and educate myself on topics before I spoke about them. But right around the 2008 election, he became a Fox News talking point machine, saying some awful, and he says the S word, I never knew he believed. And when I pressed him on where he'd heard it and how he knew it was true, he would just shut down. Maybe he was always like this, but lacked the exhaust chamber to say out loud what he was thinking. I'll never know. It just sucks because I know the people he hates so much are basically the same people as me. Yeah, he's racist. I wouldn't have thought so back in the day, but I guess it was always there simmering under the surface like a lot of people. I think old age and his chosen form of media have made him feel more safe about saying stuff out loud. My only guess is that they no longer recognize the world around them. Instead of acknowledging that it's just the way things go, they've retreated into the sphere of the other, which almost always turns out to be someone who isn't white. And it goes on. I mean, they talk about, I was raised by a strong pro-choice feminist mother who now tells me cute stories that happen on the 5, loves Trump, thinks abortion should be illegal after 6 weeks. You know, I mean, there's tons and tons of stories about Fox literally propagandizing old people, and it's just like, it's so super sad. But last night, Bernie burst through the Fox bubble, and this was so important, because I just keep imagining, these older hippie types, or these older liberals, or these older people that used to grow pot on the windowsill, or these older people that, at least suppressed the urge to say the N-word, at least suppressed, at least felt that society did not accept that word any longer. It was not a usable term. I like that world, okay? But so Bernie, I got to say, broke through that bubble a little bit last night. And when he was doing his closing, I mean, it was first of all, they thought that they were being so cute on Fox News, okay? They thought that they would ask people, how many of you get your health care through your employer? And isn't that the best way to get it? And don't you just love it? And da-da-da-da-da. So when they asked how many people get their insurance from their employer, a lot of people raised their hands. And then they said, how many people would rather get it from the government? Like twice as many people raised their hands. And it was like a big whoops moment for Fox News. I got to show it to you. It was just unbelievable. And then they asked him questions about socialism. And they said to him, why is socialism bad? And he defined what democratic socialism is. He defined what Medicare is. I would have thrown in the police and the military too, because that's socialism also. Why? Because you get police protection regardless of your ability to pay. You get military defense if someone attacks us, regardless of your ability to pay. Oh my God, it's socialism. Oh, but they love defense spending.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Whoops. Watch this.
I want to ask the audience a question. If you could raise your hand here. A show of hands of how many people get their insurance from work, private insurance, right now. How many get it from private insurance? Okay. Now, of those, how many are willing to transition to what the senator says, a government-run system? There's 180 million people on private insurance.
All right, let's deal with that, Brett.
And they
Brett?
would be lost, right? To your
Brett,
system.
Fair
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Question.
Good. Thank you.
I know it's what the right wing throws out, so let me answer it. All right. Millions of people every single year lose their health insurance. You know why? They get fired or they quit.
Right.
And they go to another employer. I was the mayor for 8 years. You know what I did? What probably every mayor in America does? Is you look around for the best insurance program, the most cost-effective insurance. You change insurance. Every year, millions of workers wake up in the morning and their employer has changed the insurance that they have. Maybe they like the doctors. People are nodding their heads. Okay? So this is not new. Every year. Now, what we're talking about actually is stability.
Hello.
That when you have a Medicare for all, it is there now and will be there in the future.
People cheering for Medicare for all on Fox. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. Whoops. Whoops. There it is. Oh my God, that just moved me. I have to say, I mean, just, people literally applauding for Medicare for all on Fox News. Did hell freeze over? Something happened in hell. That's why I think Notre Dame burned. Something went on. Something happened. Not sure what. But that was amazing. And they just, the looks on their faces, Brett Baer and Martha McCall, the looks on their face were priceless. They were like, Who let these people into our little Fox News bubble? Who let them in? What do you mean these people want stability in healthcare? What do you mean it wasn't Obama who lied that Obamacare was going to wipe out your ability to see your own doctor? You mean my employer did that when they changed us from Aetna to Blue Cross Blue Shield? You mean my employer did that when they then changed the next year from Blue Cross Blue Shield to the United Healthcare plans? Oh, I had no idea that they were the ones that actually, because my doctor took Aetna, but he didn't take Blue Cross Blue Shield. And then I found another doctor on Blue Cross Blue Shield. But then when they switched me over to Humana, Humana didn't take, my doctor didn't, belong to the Humana. That's why you couldn't keep your doctor. It had nothing to do with how you paid for your health insurance. In fact, if you paid for your health insurance yourself and you were picking it with a subsidy from Obamacare, you could choose year after year to stay on the same health care plan. Now, another thing that's ridiculous, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it? Well, obviously, we're paying for it out the nose now. I told you what my health care cost, my health insurance cost. And this is because Trump did many things to trash and ruin and discourage people from enrolling again in the exchange. Okay? But I don't have a choice because I got a pre-existing condition. I can't buy a junk plan that covers nothing. I can't buy a plan that has a lifetime cap. I can't buy a plan that doesn't cover, somebody going for a well woman checkups because I needed them every 3 months because I had a little cancer, right? And I was very lucky with it, and you know I was, but I had it. So I choose the same healthcare plan year after year after year since the exchanges, right? Because Blue Cross Blue Shield options is what I choose. It's what I choose. It cost me at the beginning, I think it was like $500 a month. Then it went to $700 a month. Then when Donald Trump became president, it went to now it's $2,000 a month because the individual mandate went away. And so people that are choosing for me to subsidize them to go to a hospital if they break something, I now have that factored into my premium. And the risk corridor payments that were given to insurance companies so that they had to take people with pre-existing conditions, they wiped that out. And now I'm paying to be in a risk corridor, to be one of those pay. And I mean, so if you do $2,000 a month in premiums alone, the cost of that is $24,000 a year. $24,000 a year just for your premium. Then you got a $6,000 yearly deductible. Meaning you can't really use it except for the 10 essential benefits, the well women visits, right? That's good. The mammograms are free, all that. But I do the 3D, so I pay the extra $50. Okay? So then you have $6,000 deductible out of pocket for you. So that means to use my health insurance for anything except for the 10 covered essential benefits, I am now up to $30,000 a year out of pocket. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Now, what if we had Medicare for all and I had my taxes raised ever so slightly and rich people had their taxes raised a lot? My costs per year would come down and I could go anywhere, anytime for anything and no premiums and no out-of-pocket cost. Oh, my God. And this is what he tried to explain last night. And I think the Fox viewers are actually understanding it.
Just a couple of points. I think sometimes the divisions in this country get a little bit too hot. Okay, at the end of the day, we are all Americans who love this country. And I also think, and the media plays not a good role in this, and again, not just Fox, is we have a lot more in common than most people think we do. All right, poll after poll. Should we raise the minimum wage to a living wage? Yes. Should we rebuild our crumbling infrastructure? Yes. Should we make sure that our veterans get the health care that they have earned?
Yes.
All right. Should we make sure that we do not cut Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid? Should we give huge tax breaks to billionaires? You know, that's how most people feel. So I hope, look, I'm looking forward to a good campaign. And the last point that I want to make and I thank Fox, for the opportunity of being here. And that is, I want to see our country have the highest voter turnout in the industrialized world, not one of the lowest. So no matter what your views are, get involved in the political process, stand up and fight to make this a better country. Thank you all very much.
Wow, that was his closing. I meant to play a different cut, but I mean, that was unbelievable. That's like being in a church, the call and repeat, the call and repeat. This was a resounding success for Bernie on the Fox News channel. I just want to play you, though, the part about healthcare, because I think healthcare is probably the number one issue on voters' minds going into 2020. And that's because hardly any of us can afford the kind of healthcare we deserve. Some people literally are making choices like, buy the insulin is an old drug. This is a sick system that we have.
When you are dealing with healthcare, which is, 18% of our GDP?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about $3.5 trillion a year.
3.5.
And you have insurance companies that make billions and billions of dollars in profit. Let me give you an example, if I might, of the dysfunctionality of the current healthcare system. Recently, Aetna merged with CVS. You may recall that. Big merger, which in my view will drive healthcare costs up. The gentleman who was head of Aetna's named Mr. Bertolini. You know what he got for putting together that merger? He got a $500 million bonus.
Jesus.
Do you think that's how we should spend healthcare dollars?
I mean, I think everybody is in agreement that healthcare needs to be fixed in this country. The question is how. And my question to you was, it will drive up taxes to pay for healthcare. And not just the wealthy will pay for that. The middle class will also pay for it.
Very good.
So how do you justify it? And
all right, Martha, what are you not including in your discussion?
You tell me.
I will tell you.
Premiums.
You're not going to pay any health insurance premiums.
Pay one way or the other.
But look, Martha,
pay one way or the other.
Martha.
Whether it's in your income tax or your payroll tax, you're going to pay.
Look, healthcare is not free. You never heard me suggest that we're going to magically...
You just said it was going to be free for everyone.
It's going to be free at the point of when you use it.
Right.
Okay? And you go to... Why are you so shocked by this?
Because someone's going to pay.
Somebody is going to pay.
Who are they? Who pays?
Okay. One second.
Okay,
Relax.
I'm just asking.
We'll be talking.
Please.
We'll get through this together.
It's a common question.
Okay.
We had so many email questions.
Okay.
Ask Senator Sanders how he is
Fair
going
enough.
to pay.
I got it.
It's a fair
But the first thing, let's just say hypothetically.
Okay.
You are self-employed, and you've got a husband and 2 kids, okay? Family of 4. Do you know how much that family is paying today for health care?
How much?
$28,000 each.
Okay.
All right, we're spending $11,000 per person. Mm-hmm. We are saying to that family of 4, you ain't going to pay that $28,000. You're not paying any more premiums. You're not paying any more co-payments.
Yay.
You're not paying any more deductibles.
Yay.
How's that? $28,000 you're not paying. But does that mean you're not going to pay something? Of course it does. You're going to pay more in taxes.
And do members of Congress who now have gold-plated health insurance?
No, we don't.
Well, they have a special plan that's outside Obamacare. A different plan. Or do members of Congress, are they going to do that transition as well?
Damn right. Of course.
Damn right. Of course.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a segment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This is a dangerous, dangerous road. And frankly, Chris, I don't think Congress, particularly not this group of congressmen and women, are smart enough to look through the thousands of pages that I would assume that President Trump's taxes will be. My guess is most of them don't do their own taxes, and I certainly don't trust them to look through the decades of success that the president has and determine anything. He's filled out hundreds of pages in a financial disclosure form, and I think it is a disgusting overreach that they are making when they're not doing this based on policy, and it puts every American who's filled out tax reform or tax forms in the past.
This is a yes or no question. Have you filed your?
Have you filed everybody?
Oh, please, Sarah. The Congress. Okay, can I just? The Congress is the body of the government, that writes the tax law. She says they're too stupid to read Donald Trump's tax returns. Isn't that something, everybody? Isn't that something? You know, you've got economics professors in Congress. You've got law professors in Congress. You have people who write the tax law in Congress. In fact, anybody on the Senate Finance Committee or anybody on Ways and Means writes the tax law. That's what the Ways and Means that we fund the government means. And she's sitting there saying, this is disgusting. They're all too stupid. Now, you know what she's talking about. She's talking about, the hit job that they're doing on these new members of Congress. She's doubling down on the Fox. I won't even play for it because it's just that disgusting. They have AOC in their craw and they ain't letting go of her. Now, this is a girl who graduated from Boston University. She's got a degree in business. The nerve of them. I mean, the actual nerve of her and the nerve of this White House to sit there and call the Congress members stupid when you have a president who is not only a reality TV star and an inheritor of great wealth. That's all he is he's a trust fund baby. Okay? He's a borrower. A borrower who inherited a lot of real estate that he could leverage to borrow money. And even then he went bankrupt. His company did 6 times. He's been adjudicated guilty of committing fraud against students with his ridiculously fraudulent Trump University. And she's sitting there telling us that Congress is too stupid. Well, Katie Porter is an attorney and she teaches economics law. She teaches tax law.
She says Democrats aren't smart enough to look over the tax returns. Your response?
I'll take that bet anytime. I do my own taxes. I'm a law professor.
Hello.
I serve with a number of really bright people, folks who've owned small businesses, folks who've been venture capitalists. We have the acumen to look at the president's tax returns. And what's more important, we have the legal duty to do so. So for the secretary to attack the intelligence and the integrity of members of Congress is just one more thing out of Donald Trump's playbook, which is to continue to attack anyone in government who doesn't want to do what he wants to do. There may or may not be anything to see in Donald Trump's tax returns, but that's the job of Congress to take a look and to let the American public know. So I very much hope he complies with the legal requirement to provide his taxes, and I have every confidence that my colleagues and I are capable and smart enough. I'm trained in tax law. I'm a legal professor. I'm ready to go to take a look at those tax returns.
She's trained in tax law. She teaches tax law. She's a law professor who teaches tax law. And Donald Trump, the reality TV star, has the audacity, has the nerve, has the nads to actually denigrate these people who are not only writing the tax law, but are teaching it to young law students. I just, in my whole life, I've never seen anything as special as the pathological liar that is this president.
But I'll tell you what upsets me the most, and I'm going to answer your question.
Yeah.
Is that whether you're conservative or moderate or progressive, I don't think the American people are proud that we have a president who is a pathological liar. And I say that, you know, it does not give me pleasure to say that. All right. I disagreed with George W. Bush on almost everything.
Yeah.
Bush was not a pathological liar. Trump cannot even tell the truth, even as to where his father was born. It's really that crazy. His father was born in New York. He claims he was born in Germany. But if you can't even tell the truth about where your father was born, it's hard to believe anything that he says. But to answer your question, look.
So I just wanted to play that because I think that also pierced through the Fox News bubble to the elderly who sit there and imbibe it, who just, mainline it all day long, that no one at Fox News could even argue that the president isn't a pathological liar. See, that for me was, it wasn't just that Bernie had the temerity to show up there. And it wasn't just that he had the audacity to call the president a pathological liar, or that he got cheers and applause for Medicare for All and how he laid it out and who pays and how it gets paid for and how much you would save because you would not be paying $11,000 per person in your household for health care coverage anymore. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just that. It was that Fox News couldn't even argue with him, because they're so inside the bubble that they're not used to hearing the truth. And the truth is that this president couldn't tell the truth about where his father was born the other day. And the truth is that this president did say, he did say that you would be able to fill out your taxes on a postcard. He did say that this was a middle-class tax cut. And as soon as it became apparent that it wasn't a middle-class tax cut and that just some companies, a very few, were giving one-time bonuses to make Trump look good, that corporate was doing that to make Trump look good, and that sugar high is gone from the economy, and that it didn't actually represent any real wage increase, and that it didn't represent any ongoing bonus plan. All of a sudden, the economy just started fizzling. And now they're predicting that we'll have less than 2% growth this year. So, everything that this man said is a lie. He said that there would be new jobs and corporate expenditures, and it was stock buybacks. He said $5 trillion overseas would come back, and it didn't. Not even close. He said we'd have 4, maybe 5% growth every year. And we're like I'm telling you, they're saying it's 2% now and maybe less next year. And Americans hate it, right? Americans hate this tax plan. So then all of a sudden he went out and he started saying, I just put in another 10% tax cut for the middle class. We're putting it in next week. That was a year ago. It never happened because he's a pathological liar. But you got guys sitting in diners who think that if you ask the president, do these pants make me look fat? He would say, no, I think your ass makes you look fat. That he would say that. And that makes him a truth teller. This is very sick. This is really twisted stuff. This is just off the wall. This is bizarro world, okay?
Well, they're big tax cuts, the biggest cuts in the history of our country, actually. No. We have reform, we have simplification.
No.
And honestly, I'm surprised a little bit to hear what you're saying, because we've really gotten great reviews. People are loving it.
People
Even
hate
a certain
it.
newspaper that I don't like very much came out today, and they gave Schumer four Pinocchios. And they said because he was not telling the truth when it came to the middle class, because he said it's for the rich, and it's really not for the rich. It's for the middle class, and it's for jobs.
83% of this tax cut went to the top 1%. Period. End of story. Everybody gets it. Everybody knows it. This man cannot tell the truth. He is incapable of telling the truth. And he's also incapable of solving any problem that you wish our government would solve. He is not. He's got no immigration plan. You know what the immigration crisis is? Do you know? It's called Stephen Miller. That's our immigration crisis. He has no immigration reform plan, okay? He has no plan for infrastructure, which could pour, if for $1 trillion worth of investment in our infrastructure, instead of giving the rich people a tax break, we could have created millions of jobs. Millions, literally. And Bernie, went through that last night, too. But oh no, he needed to transfer our wealth to the richest. He has no health care plan. Well, he's got a secret health care plan.
Things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks. This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove.
Boy, I love reading those WikiLeaks. I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
How can the president say he knows nothing about WikiLeaks? Remember, and does he regard Julian Assange as a villain or a hero?
Look, clearly the president was making a joke during the 2016 campaign. Certainly we take this serious. In fact, our administration is the only one that's done anything about it. Let's not forget that the reason Julian Assange is being looked at is because of the engagement he had with Chelsea Manning. That individual is the person that the Obama administration actually commuted their sentence. We're the only ones that have taken this whole process seriously and actually doing something to solve the problem.
Okay.
The president was making a joke during the campaign. It was talking about the specifics of the case at that moment.
What? He was joking about WikiLeaks, everybody. He didn't really think it was a treasure trove. His son wasn't really communicating with WikiLeaks. Roger Stone wasn't really communicating with WikiLeaks. Jerome Corsi wasn't really communicating with WikiLeaks. Ted Malloch in London wasn't really... No, it was a joke. The whole thing was a joke, everybody. It was just a big damn joke. And yes, Obama commuted Chelsea Manning's sentence. Why? Why? She was convicted of espionage. 35 years is what she got. And after 7 years, Obama commuted her sentence. Now, she's back in jail because she refuses to testify in front of the grand jury that's been convened to find out about WikiLeaks. This is part of the Mueller report. And I tell you, the whole world is going to change in 2 days. Not because, Jesus will rise again. No, not because of that. And certainly not because, I put goat's blood on my door and the angel passes over my house. Pass over. No, not because of that, but because Bill Barr is going to dump this report on Thursday night, right before Passover, right before Easter, and right before Congress is on recess in an attempt to bury the damn report. But I will tell you that there are people who cooperated with Bob Mueller who are very freaked out by all of this because there's at least a dozen current and former White House officials who have cooperated with Bob Mueller, and they are so scared that Trump is going to exact revenge because they went to Bob Mueller and told the truth. And so far, all we have from Bill Barr is Bill Barr's decision and Bill Barr's bottom line conclusions. And Bill Barr has done this before. Bill Barr, in 1989, Bill Barr worked at the Office of Legal Counsel. And Bill Barr was asked to write a memo about whether or not the United States of America, the President of the United States, could kidnap, seriously, Manuel Noriega out of Panama. Really. And Bill Barr, in his capacity at the Office of Legal Counsel over there at the Justice Department, wrote a secret memo. Apparently, the memo said, yeah, the president can do whatever he wants. And the president can kidnap Manuel Noriega if he wants to. And when Congress asked to see the memo, he said, let me give you my bottom line conclusions. Sound familiar? Except he left out a whole bunch of details, like American law prohibited kidnapping of a foreign national, okay? And we didn't find that out until after we changed presidents. And once we changed presidents in 1992, we got the whole Bill Barr Office of Legal Counsel memo. And that memo had so much more to it than what Bill Barr's bottom line conclusions of his own memo said. So last night, a legal professor who used to work over there went on the TV and said, his name's Ryan Goodman. He's a law professor at NYU, one of the best law schools in this country, okay? And he tried to tell the story of why you wouldn't really want Bill Barr's word on bottom line conclusions. Here's what he said.
So there's a remarkable episode that is very similar to today. So in 1989, William Barr had actually issued or written an opinion for the Justice Department that was highly controversial. It looked like it paved the way for the United States to forcibly abduct the leader of Panama. So Congress wanted the full opinion, and then Barr said, no, you can't have the full opinion, but I'll give you a summary of its principal conclusions, which is the exact same language that he's used with the American public for the Mueller report, that he'll give a summary of the principal conclusions. It ends up that he gives a 13-page report, and then only 3 years later do we actually find the full opinion, and it turns out that he did not give Congress the principal conclusions. He left some major conclusions out. So the final conclusion that I draw from that episode is that it was a kind of an act of duplicity towards Congress.
Duplicity.
And so how much we can trust him today to not repeat that kind of pattern of behavior is up in the air. I think it's a concern.
And Ron Klain, I was thinking, as I was reading Ryan's reporting on this, that in the end, by the way, we get to see that complete William Barr memo only when there's a change of administrations, and only when the Clinton administration comes in, and only when actually Janet Reno moves into the Justice Department. And so that may be that we may be a year and a half away from seeing the full Mueller report, or from Congress seeing the full Mueller report, because it might take a new president and a new attorney general to release it.
Absolutely.
So there's
Sorry. Absolutely. We will see the Mueller report. The whole thing, the unredacted Mueller report, God only knows when, but we will. We will. Now, I have to tell you that there's this brief moment of bipartisanship in the House Intelligence Committee. Adam Schiff, who is now the chairman, and Devin Nunes, the former chairman, have gotten together, and they have written a letter, and they have asked for a classified briefing from Robert Mueller on Mueller's findings. These two agree on absolutely nothing. Now, Nunes wants the briefing because Nunes wants to ask Mueller if he investigated the investigators. Nunes wants to ask Mueller to start, not to start a new investigation, but for information that would allow Nunes to get the Justice Department to start an investigation into the investigators, into Comey, basically, is what Nunes wants out of this. But they both agree that they both need to talk to Mueller, okay? And they need the counterintelligence findings that Mueller might have reached that might not be included in this report, this redacted report. They both want to know what the counterintelligence findings are. And counterintelligence means, were the Trump associates and Trump himself and Trump's son and Trump's, son-in-law, et cetera, were they useful idiots? Right? In order to charge, a conspiracy, there has to be an agreement. Now, I think the agreement was when Junior took the meeting, okay? But that might not be enough in law to actually make a case that is beyond a reasonable doubt, because he could say, I thought it was about adoptions, right? Or whatever he's going to say. And everybody could lie for him, et cetera, et cetera. So they would need more. But the counterintelligence findings would not need more. And that's why it's interesting that they both want it. Now, some of the redactions that are going to be made to the Mueller report will exclude several categories of information. Classified material, okay. And then there's these nebulous categories like ongoing investigations and grand jury testimony. Those two things should not be redacted. All Bill Barr needs to do is go to the court, say the investigation is over, we want to release the grand jury material, and it would be done.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Thursday, it sounds like the redacted Mueller report might come out. Do you have any concerns about what that might show?
Well, it showed that it's a total phony. I don't have to say that. I mean, you just take a look at the conclusion. I heard it's going to come out on Thursday. That's good. And there can't be anything there because there was no crime. There was no anything. The crime was committed by the other side. This crime was all made up. It was all a fabrication.
Well, we're going to find out if it was all made up and if it was a fabrication. We will find out, because I know what I saw, and I know what I heard, and I know what I read. And I know when I read indictments, I know what it said in there. And I know the Russians actually assisted Donald Trump's campaign. Whether or not that rises to a chargeable offense, we'll see. However, it doesn't take you, 300, 400 pages to say good things about Donald. What we got from Bill Barr is like the sunniest version of what's in there. And then, he wrote a 4-page, right? So then there are 396 pages more that probably don't say very nice things. And like I said, the White House officials are concerned that they will be exposed by Bob Mueller's report. They think that new facts in the report could be disclosed that do not reflect favorably on this president. Two people familiar with the discussion that's going on inside the White House now have told NBC News. They said you have a whole bunch of former White House officials and current White House officials, but especially former White House officials who were told to cooperate. So people went and did that. And now the uncertainty is just how much of that information is going to be in that report and how identifiable to individuals it's going to be, and nobody knows. And for the most part, Don McGahn is, we know that Don McGahn spent, 30 hours or more with Bob Mueller. And, but we know that McGahn was keeping contemporaneous notes about the clearances and all the other crap that went on in that White House. God only knows what, remember John Kelly? Remember him? Remember John Kelly? Remember him? Yeah, former chief of staff. Who knows? We just don't know. But I will tell you this. There are some categories that should not be redacted that are going to be redacted. And one of those categories, as I said, is the 6E material, the grand jury testimony of the current and former White House officials who were summoned before the grand jury. And that shouldn't be redacted. We should be able to read what they testified to because there's exceptions to grand jury secrecy rules. And one of those is it in the national interest to know? I would say yes. I would say that this investigation is probably the most important investigation of our lifetimes. And therefore, if Bill Barr was a upfront guy, if Bill Barr wasn't an obstructionist himself, if Bill Barr wasn't an obfuscator, which he clearly has been since the late 80s, when he told the president of the United States in the 80s that you could go and kidnap Manuel Noriega, which, by the way, we did invade Panama. I don't know how many people remember that, but we invaded freaking Panama, and we did abduct Manuel Noriega. We did. And a whole bunch of his friends. Because Bill Barr said you could invade Central American countries and kidnap their leaders. And this guy, Noriega, was a CIA asset, but he was also a drug dealer. But that was cool with our administration. That was cool with another Republican president. Until it wasn't. And then we had to go kidnap him on Bill Barr's word. And it wasn't until 3 years later that we found out that, no, you really can't kidnap a president. But we did. All right, Mick in Colorado.
Hi, Randy.
Hey, man.
Sorry. Randy, great show.
Thank you.
Great show. I just wanted to call up Sarah Huckabee Sanders sometimes. You just had to say something about her. Talking about the women in Congress in particular,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't deny Sarah Huckabee Sanders her opinion on the whole situation with getting the tax returns or anything. That would say that they couldn't even understand tax law and all that. I mean, that's way out of right field there. And just in general, I just have to say this. This young lady graduated from Washita Baptist College in Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
Arkadelphia,
Arkansas. And I'm not going to take anything away from her, but I think, political science and mass media communications. She's 36 years old. She's a young woman. She still has a future ahead of her. But to say that a number of women, lawyers and people that are, college professors, this lady from California, she's absolutely on top of things so much. AOC also has a business degree. I think they can speak about the tax returns, and also they've gone over, congressional law and regulations and stuff, so they know what it is. It's a requirement. It's a requirement.
Even I understand that the president has no legal argument to make regarding his tax returns. When it comes to the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, who writes the tax laws, and the Senate Finance Committee chair, if either of them or the Joint Committee on Taxation decides that they would like to see the president's tax returns, they are... It says that the IRS commissioner shall furnish. Now, exactly. I don't think that that's so hard to understand, those two words. Shall furnish means give them. Shall give them. So he has
Exactly.
no legal argument, and she is just sitting there spinning.
Exactly.
I don't care about what her opinion is. I care about the black letter of the law. And the law says that upon a request from either the Joint Committee on Taxation, the chairman of Ways and Means, which was made, that's Richard Neal, or the Senate Finance Chair, that's Grassley, who did not ask for them because Grassley is a cover-up artist, okay? But they shall furnish. That is not open for interpretation, okay?
Yeah,
it
but
is.
Randy, the thing is, it's almost like termites. That word there, or anything in any law that they don't want to apply, it's like termites. They're just going to eat away at it continually. And you're right, it's spinning like spinning a web. Well,
and how did she spin? She spun, and she did it in a mean, nasty, ugly, bully way. That's what Donald Trump does too.
College. Mm-hmm, exactly.
But that's what Donald Trump does too, and he didn't go to no Baptist college, okay?
Right.
They are bullies, and they take the low road each and every time. And the crazy people that follow Trump, they like him because he's a bully. They think strong and wrong is the best way.
Keep bringing it, Randy. Thank you very much.
I will. This is just amazing. She went so low, she had to call, think about it. Kamala Harris, she's a prosecutor. She's a freaking prosecutor. Katie Porter, she's a tax law professor. AOC has a business degree. What in the world? They have to take the low road all the time because their supporters, their cult, likes strong and wrong.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Woman Omar sent out a release last night saying that your tweet from a couple of days ago has led to direct threats on her life. Any second thoughts about that tweet and the way it was produced and put together?
No, not at all. Look, she's been very disrespectful to this country. She's been very disrespectful, frankly, to Israel. She is somebody that doesn't really understand, I think, real life, what it's all about. It's unfortunate. She's got a way about her that's very, very bad, I think, for our country. I think she's extremely unpatriotic and extremely disrespectful to our country.
Wow. Can you imagine a president of the United States of America questioning your patriotism after you ran for and won a congressional office? Can you imagine that? And by the way, I have to tell you that because Donald Trump has been calling her things like that, saying that she is, and Jeanine Pirro with, she wears a hijab, so therefore she's antithetical to the Constitution, which obviously, says that, freedom of religion is like number one, right? Death threats have increased. She now needs to be hidden. Nancy Pelosi was in Ireland today, and the story is global because there are 1 billion Muslims in the world who look to, America. And she was asked about Ilhan, and Ilhan Omar has gotten hundreds and hundreds of death threats. This one guy from upstate New York was actually arrested because he left his contact information on her office phone and said he would put a bullet in her head, and that the founding fathers would also put a bullet in her head if they were alive today. And of course, you remember the Treaty of Tripoli that Jefferson wrote to Libya saying, hey, America is not a Christian nation. America is a country that just wants to trade, and we have nothing against Muslim men. And Muslim men were Muslims. So, the ignorance out there it's insane. But because Donald Trump keeps doing this, okay, she is literally hidden away. She has Secret Service protection now because her life has been threatened hundreds and hundreds of times since Donald Trump started that. And the same thing with Pizzagate. Remember that? When the lunatic right started, saying that Hillary Clinton is running a pedophile ring out of Comet Pizza Parlor and Ping Pong. So a guy from North Carolina goes with a long gun and he shoots up the place. Then you remember Bill O'Reilly with Tiller the baby killer over the issue of abortion. And somebody went to Dr. Tiller's church and gunned him down on a Sunday in church. This is the kind of hatred that a president like this actually doubles down on because it serves his purpose, which is to get over on you. Strong and wrong, strong and wrong. Transfer of wealth from the middle class to the very wealthy. Over and over and over again, they get away with this crap because they tell you who to hate. It's really sad. Scott in Los Angeles.
Hey, so I'm calling you for a couple reasons. One, I think that it'd be kind of good for dialogue purposes that you would reach out to somebody like a Candace Owens and ask her to come on your show. Because two women, you're a little bit older, she's a little bit younger, you have your opinion, she has hers, and I think that it would be interesting. She had somebody on her show from Black Lives Matter. It was excellent. Great dialogue between the two. The one thing that I wanted to say to you with regard to this report coming out. Oh, first of all, with regard to the taxes, I'm with you. But let's do this. Let's make it totally nonpartisan. Everyone that serves in federal government, you have to release your taxes annually. And let's be done with it. Everyone.
Why, you think the president is the same as a police officer?
I said federal government. So federal
Capitol Police officer is the federal government. So,
okay,
yeah.
Randy. Okay, let's hold on. If you're elected,
what did I say?
If you're elected,
yeah.
If you're elected in the federal government, then you release your taxes. How's that?
It's fine with me.
Okay, cool. Then there we go. So that's nonpartisan. Let's do that. You were wrong.
But every president since Nixon released their tax returns. So why is
voluntarily?
Voluntarily. So there is no law that requires the president to do that, except for this: when the president is the president and the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee or the Senate Finance Committee or the Joint Committee on Taxation asks for the president's tax returns, then the IRS shall furnish them. It's just
Randy,
the law.
There's no argument from me there. However, do candidates have to fire a...
So why are you saying that because that's a fact and we need to make sure that the president is never compromised?
You're making it just a Trump issue, and I'm saying we should just have all elected federal politicians release their tax returns, and that way we don't have to play games with it like you
are. See, this is why. This is what I'm saying to you. The law right now, right today, this minute, says what it says. Now, if you want to change the law, that's a conversation for the future. However, today is today. The law is the law today. And it requires the IRS commissioner, Mr. Rettig, to produce for the House Ways and Means Committee, not for you, not for me, we wouldn't see them, but it requires that he furnish those tax returns to that committee. And they're violating the law today.
I think whatever the law is, the executive branch should be complying with it. Doesn't matter who the president.
But they're not, and that's a problem.
Right, they are. Well, they're gonna need to.
But they're not.
For some reason. Okay, well, what I'm saying is,
he's instructed. I don't know if you know this, but there's also been subpoenas that were requested by certain companies. Okay, they didn't want to turn over Trump's materials to Congress without a friendly subpoena. That's what they call it, right? And so companies like Mazars and Deutsche Bank have asked for a friendly subpoena to be issued. Well, Congress issued friendly subpoenas to Mazars and to Deutsche Bank. And the president is literally instructing them to violate the law, to not comply with a subpoena from Congress. That's a problem. The president is
but look who you're dealing with.
The president is supposed to uphold and see to, make sure that the laws are faithfully executed. So if you have a lawless president, my God, what's left to do?
Well, what he's going to do, what he's doing is forcing them to duke it out in court. And so that way he gets to delay. Listen, there's no doubt there's stuff he doesn't want people to see. There's no doubt.
Right.
Okay?
But you can't break the law because you'll be embarrassed.
Randy, it's a legal tactic right now. It'll go to the courts. The courts will rule. And they will either have to comply. And by that time, he may have tactically drug it out. You're not dealing... I know everybody thinks Trump is dumb because he stumbles over his words. You're not dealing with a dummy. You're dealing with a fighter. until
fighters aren't necessarily the most brilliant people in the world. Okay, a guy who lies as much as he does about very mundane things is not presidential. Okay,
there is that saying that if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Have you ever heard that? I think it's
no,
nuts,
but what I have
it's a
heard
reality.
is behind every great fortune is a great crime.
Right. Well, hey, let's look at Pelosi's tax return.
Why?
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Why do I need to do that?
Let's do this. Let's look
Is
at
there
every
any?
person's
Is there anything? Is there anything in Nancy Pelosi's voting record that would lead you to believe that she is compromised by any foreign government, or that she's been aided or assisted by Deutsche Bank, or that she's been aided and assisted by
So listen. So if you're serving in federal government and you become a millionaire and or a multi-millionaire while serving in government,
I have no problem with transparency. I think the more the better. But the law is the law as it is today, and the president is in violation of the law. And he is instructing others to break the law and telling them that if they do, he will pardon them. That is abuse of power, period. And since the court is not the place for the president to be indicted and tried, and the proper place for that, according to the Constitution, is Congress, why would you look to the courts?
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, everything you just said, I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just saying that
why
let's
are
have
you
one standard,
so why are you defending this president at all if you know that he's lawless?
No, I'm not defending. I'm being realistic. It's a tactic. He's delaying, and that's what you have to look at. And Barack Obama would do the exact same thing.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
A fighter, yes, because
he's had no scandal. Barack Obama, there was no scandal in this man's.
Tony Resco.
Oh, please.
Tony
that was when he
Resco.
was running for office. And that
Look it up.
I know what it is. It's some slumlord in Chicago.
Yep. Everybody around him's in jail, too.
But that was litigated.
Hey, people went to jail.
Obama produced not only his birth certificate, but his taxes. I don't know how this compares to a president who refuses to uphold the law. This isn't about how many people around Donald Trump are scandalous. This is about Donald Trump breaking the law. This is about Donald Trump not executing faithfully the laws of the United States. This is about Donald Trump abusing power. Nobody ever accused Obama of doing any of those things because Barack Obama did not do any of those things. Barack Obama would do the same thing. Are you insane? Paid off a mistress.
To speak to Randi, call now, you bastards. 561-270-3844.
Hello.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force.
We humans have got to get a whole lot smarter, says Elon Musk, the billionaire founder of Tesla Automobiles and CEO of SpaceX rockets. Musk is not merely reacting to humanity's recent tendency to elect lunatics to lead our countries. Rather, he's trying to warn us about the rapid rise of a radical new technology, artificial intelligence. In common parlance, he's referring to robots, but these are not the clunky, somewhat cute machines performing rote tasks. AI essentially has evolved to become an electronic brain, a web of ever more complex supercomputers interacting as one cognitive unit that can program itself, make decisions, and act independently of the humans who are creating them. These thinking machines are rapidly increasing in number and geometrically advancing their IQ, prompting Musk and others to view AI technologies in apocalyptic terms. As algorithms and systems inevitably grow more sophisticated, he says, digital intelligence will exceed biological intelligence by a substantial margin. In graphic terms, Musk warns that profiteering humans are, quote, summoning the devil by creating a new superior species of beings that will end up dominating humanity, becoming, quote, an immortal dictator from which we would never escape. What's weird is not his dystopian prognosis. Other experts confirm that runaway bot intelligence is a real threat, but his solution. The way for us human beings to compete with AI, says Musk, is to merge with it. Not a corporate transaction, but a literal.
Buy a stinking podcast.